Okay, guys, I wanted to make a video. As you know, I'm a gadget channel, kinda, partly. So I'm always looking at phones, tablets, always. Been happy with my Oneplus 7 Pro for 2 years and about 2 months now. Got it in May of 2019, and it is now July of 2021. So you can do the math on that. 26 months. And still works perfectly fine. I've not cracked it in any way. Still very fast. I got the 12GB RAM version. Snapdragon 855 still fast. It was ahead of its time. It had the 90Hz screen. It had UFS 3.0 storage that's fast. It's a great phone. Supposedly, I'm not one to judge, but I'm not a camera guru. Supposedly the camera's kind of weak on OnePlus phones. I don't care. It works fine for me. I don't necessarily love the pop-up selfie cam, but it has its advantages. It gives you an unobstructed screen without a punch hole. And I have had a few issues with mine. Just I think sometimes something sticky got in there once or twice and it would kind of get stuck. And for a while it was making a popping noise. I don't think it does that anymore. But I use the selfie cam very infrequently anyway, so I don't care. Even if it broke tomorrow, I wouldn't mind much, and it still works. Anyways, I just wanted to point out that the best phone right now, deal, if you're in the United States anyway, that no one talks about, none of the tech reviewers talk about this, the best phone you're going to get for a decent price. It's not a low-end phone like a Motorola G7 or something like that. Is this right here, OnePlus 8. Not the OnePlus 8 Pro, not the OnePlus 8T. I would prefer those, particularly the T because it has a flat screen. They're a little more expensive. This OnePlus 8 vanilla, not Pro, not T, is the deal. Why is it the deal? The price, it's $415. I already have the OnePlus 7 Pro, so I must say it looks fairly similar in a lot of ways, which is a little boring. It has the same like triple cameras down the back setup. One thing I don't like, I've grown to not like at all, is these curved displays, okay? It does have a curved display, whereas the OnePlus 8T has a flat display. The Pro also has a curved display, I believe. But the good thing is, this curve is much less pronounced than the one in my 7 Pro. If you look at them in videos comparing them and things like that, you'll see a difference. This has much more of a subtle curve. So it's not as good as a flat screen phone, but it's much better than the 7 Pro as far as if you don't like curves, which I don't on the display. 7 Pro had a pretty severe curvature. It was at a time when that was all the rage, and the Samsungs of that time also had the pretty severe curvature. Now they've all gone to a much more milder curve, if they have one at all. And the OnePlus 8 kind of started to show that. So yes, it's a curved screen, which I would prefer. The OnePlus 8T has a flat screen. I would much prefer that. But like I said, the OnePlus 8T is like $599 right now, I believe. This is what I wanted to make the point, though. This goes frequently on sale for very cheap. It's usually on OnePlus's website for $449, but usually it's there for $399. That's the point I wanted to make. It is $399 right now, I believe, on OnePlus's website, but it's been on sale for a long time, I think, at that price. Because I went there and they said something about the sale ends like from July 2nd to July 31st or something. Well, it's July 19th, so it's been on that price for a long time, I believe. And so it's sold out right now. I don't know if it's going to come back in stock before the sale ends, but it's usually typically been around $399. $450 if it's not on sale, but $399 has been the sale price of this lately. At that price, it's fantastic, and it's so much better than almost any other phone. Now, I don't know if this may not apply if you're in China or India. I'm talking about in the United States where I live. Because in China and India, you get these nice, like, Xiaomi phones, Poco F3, this, that, and the other thing, that are really cheap and really powerful. We don't have those in the United States for whatever reason. So, we're stuck with basically OnePlus, Samsung, Google, and Motorola anymore. Sad. It's really sad to me how few phone choices we have in the United States. Even LG just went out of stopped making phones. Oh, and Apple, of course. I didn't even count them. But now you can see here on Amazon, since I believe it's sold out right this instant on OnePlus at $399. But I popped over to Amazon and it's only $4.15 there. I'd almost rather pay that because I know I'm getting like fast Amazon delivery. You know what I mean? I can return very easily at Amazon. I know for a fact, whereas I've never returned anything to OnePlus, the website. Amazon's return policy and ease of returns is fantastic, so I'd rather buy from Amazon anyway. It'd be worth the extra $15 probably. But then on top of that, I got the Amazon Chase Visa card, I believe, some time ago. Because I do so much, I'm kind of an Amazon-y nowadays. I'm such an Amazon whore that I got the Amazon credit card. I needed another credit card anyway because I carry 2 credit cards, but one of them is like a Chase Freedom card that gives you 1.5% cash back all the time. So that's a good one. But I had a second one that was like an old something or other. And one day I went to look at it and it's like, oh, you haven't used this in 2 years, so we've closed your account. So I hadn't even used it in 2 years, so they like auto closed my account. So I didn't want to just have one credit card. That seems like not enough for emergencies or something. I used to have 3, and that's too many. But 2 seems about right. So I was like, hey, I need a new card anyway. I saw something on Amazon bragging about it, so I got the Amazon card. And what it gives you is 5% cash back on all Amazon purchases. That's the nice thing about it. Now, like I said, this is like cash back, so it's kind of like you buy the product and you pay full price, and then like on your next month's statement, they credit you with 5% back. Of course, you just pay the balance immediately, so it doesn't cost you any interest charges, and you still get the 5% back regardless. Of course, they're counting on the people who charge it and then don't pay it off right away, and they earn interest on them. But I pay everything off right away, so I never pay any interest. But the point is, using that 5% Amazon card, I always get 5% back on my Amazon purchases. So I did the math, and 5% off on this means it's like $3.94 something. So it's actually like $5 cheaper even than once I get my 5% cash back anyway. So it's definitely worth it. I mean, I would rather get it from Amazon. Even if you don't have the Amazon card, though, it's $4.15. Not a bad price at all. One thing I guess is a little bad, quote unquote, is it's only the 128, and I'm sure 8GB RAM version. Whereas on my OnePlus 7 Pro, I have the 256. And I gotta admit, the 256 memory, while not at all necessary, is a little nice. For me, that I don't use a whole lot of memory, I feel like I can stick all kinds of crap on my OnePlus 7 Pro, and storage is never going to be an issue. 128GB, a little less so, but it's still fine. And 8GB RAM, still fine. But the big advantage is why I'm considering actually picking this up over my OnePlus 7 Pro. Well, first of all, it has the Snapdragon 865. So it's a more powerful chipset, 1 year newer. It has, what else does it have that my 7 Pro does not? Oh, 5G. Yeah, that's the big one. It has 5G. And I checked the bands. It has all the good bands that you'd want. I don't care about millimeter wave. No one's going to use millimeter wave unless they're in a big city. And it has to be like, it's very, very rare millimeter wave, so I wouldn't even consider it. But I think it may support, no, it's only like one model. I'm not sure how it all works, but it has all the low bands of 5G that you want, the sub 600 they call it. Has all of them for AT&T, has all of them for T-Mobile, so it has good 5G support. Now, one thing that really bugs me about OnePlus lately is they don't support 5G on AT&T and Verizon's networks, just T-Mobile. That's AT&T's fault though, not OnePlus. Basically, AT&T is really obnoxious now and doesn't want to support phones they don't sell because they want to make money that way. So since they don't sell OnePlus phones, like you can go buy a Samsung phone at AT&T store. You can't go buy a OnePlus phone at AT&T store. So since they don't actually sell the OnePlus, they don't want to support it because they want you to buy their crap so they make more money. So they don't even support 5G on OnePlus 8. It's ridiculous and very anti-competitive. And I think Verizon only supports the millimeter wave, which, as I said, is useless. It does have official 5G support on T-Mobile, reason being that T-Mobile carries OnePlus. You can go into T-Mobile store and buy a OnePlus. Now, but at first somehow I got it in my head that no AT&T 5G support meant no 5G support on any like AT&T reseller or MVNO as they call them in the phone terminology. But I realized that no, like I'm on Red Pocket phone network personally. What that is a reseller, and they resell like AT&T any network. But I use the AT&T one because I need AT&T coverage because where I live, AT&T has the best coverage, and it has coverage in a couple of specific spots that I need it that nobody else does. Like Verizon and T-Mobile don't, and Sprint when they were a thing. Only AT&T has coverage in a couple spots I need it. So I'm kind of, in a sense, almost limited to AT&T for my phone service. Or at least AT&T network, you see. Now, so I use Red Pocket, but I use it on their GSMA SIM. So I'm using Red Pocket AT&T network, I forgot that Red Pocket supports 5G now. So this OnePlus 8 will work fine with 5G on Red Pocket because Red Pocket doesn't discriminate on which phones get through 5G like AT&T does. So basically, if I take this OnePlus 8 to Red Pocket, which is who I use, I get 5G. If I take it to AT&T that I don't use, I don't get 5G anymore magically because AT&T just doesn't want to give you 5G on this phone. It's ridiculous, but the point is, it's not as much of a problem as I thought it is. This is a 5G phone. It'll get 5G on most networks except for AT&T and Verizon, maybe iffy. That's probably not even a big deal at all right now because 5G is not a very big deal right now. It's just barely started. But it may be a bigger deal in the future. If you're on one of those two, you may want to take it into consideration. But me, it'll support 5G on Red Pocket. That's all I care about. I just wanted to make a few more points about this phone. This phone is a beast. Because I have the OnePlus 7 Pro, which is almost the same thing. So I know it's a beast. These are battleship phones. That's the best way I always describe OnePlus. These are battleship phones. They're big. They're fast. They're powerful. They are battleships. They're basically Samsungs from China. That's another way I'd put it. Now, in a lot of ways, I like them better than Samsung because they don't have all the bloatware. Their UI is much cleaner to me. Now, I'm bored of the UI, but I kind of wanted S21 because it's smaller and it has the Snapdragon 888 and stuff. I just haven't found a good price on it yet. But I almost don't even want the S21 just because I look at Samsung's UI and just want to barf. It's so over the top, I kind of hate it. It's so Fisher Price. It looks like Apple. It's the same reason I don't like iPhones. It looks like it's designed for little kids with huge square buttons and stuff. That's just maybe and Samsung loads up so much bloatware and stuff too, and features that you don't want. Samsung crap everywhere. So, in that respect, I think OnePlus is better. Yeah, like I said, I was an eye opener recently, and I believe I made a video about it, but I tried to switch to a Pixel 4a for my OnePlus 7 Pro. I was so disappointed in the 4a, and I ended up keeping my 7 Pro and actually giving away the 4a. And I was just shocked at what a difference it was. the 4A was too small, which I knew it was small. That's why I wanted it, but I wasn't prepared for how small it was. It feels jerky, and compared to my 7 Pro now, it feels jerky and, hiccupy. Now, some of that may be that it's 60 hertz instead of 90 on my Pro, but it doesn't matter why. It still felt choppy, jerky. And I could have gotten used to all that and probably accepted all of that. I have to admit I really like the vanilla Android on the 4A though. But what really killed me more than anything on the 4A was the battery life was terrible. And there's kind of a backstory to that as well, which is that basically, like, I like my phone screens, I think, a little brighter than most people. For whatever reason, I like them a little bright. So, but usually what I do is I never use auto brightness because it's always too dim for my taste most of the time, if not always. So I turn off auto brightness and I'll set the screen to where I like it. Now the OnePlus 7 Pro, mine, about halfway is like nice and bright to me. So I'll set it to like 50% halfway. Nice and bright on the OnePlus 7 Pro. Okay, that's I'll turn it down like early in the mornings if I get up early and I'm driving somewhere in the dark. Then it's harsh on your eyes. It's too bright. Whatever, I'll turn it down, but manually. But I normally use my OnePlus 7 Pro about half. I set about half brightness, and it's plenty bright. It's real bright at half, 50% brightness. Well, on the on the Pixel 4a, I go and I set it to half brightness, and it's really dim to me. It's too dim. I don't like it. It's way dimmer than my OnePlus 7 Pro on 50% brightness. So I end up having to turn up the screen brightness quite a bit. And I ended up turning it up to like 75 or 80% to get comfortable with it. At 75 or 80%, it's now about equal to the OnePlus 7 Pro, my OnePlus 7 Pro, on 50%, right? So it's like 80% on the Pixel 4a is equivalent to 50% brightness on the 7 Pro, That's all fine and good, because it's fine. Now it's bright enough, the 4a, and I can, deal with it fine. But here's the bigger issue. The battery life was terrible, and I bet you that's why. Because naturally, if you turn any phone up to 80% battery, 80% brightness, it's probably going to really suck the battery, right? If I did that with my OnePlus 7 Pro, it probably would. So now I was getting terrible battery life compared to my 7 Pro out of the Pixel 4a. I mean, it was terrible. It was really, really bad. And so I felt like probably what was happening is I'm running the phone at 80% brightness. But I needed to, because to get comfortable with it. So that's what I think the issue was, is the 4a has a dim panel because it's a budget phone. So yeah, the panel, you have to turn it up to get good brightness out of it. By my standards, most people probably don't care because they probably run their screens dimmer. So you have to turn the 4a way up. You have to drive it way higher to get decent brightness out of it, because it's a cheap panel, even though it is OLED, which are normally all OLEDs are fine to me. So this is like the first OLED I've ever considered too dim. So yeah, so it comes back to the same starting point in the end. I need, whatever the reason, the 4a had terrible battery life for me, and I think it was probably because I had to, but they don't turn the brightness up to 80%, which was only equal to 50% on the 7 Pro. So like I said, I could solve that, sure, turn the brightness down to 50%, but then my Pixel 4a is way too dim for my taste, That's not a solution in my book. So whatever the reason, granted I did have it set to 75 or 80% brightness all the time, but the Pixel 4a battery was really going down fast. I mean, it was pretty alarming. But okay, even that, maybe I could have lived with it. Just have a little worse battery life. But when I went to charge it, it charges so slow. Like, I've gotten used to the fast charging on my 7 Pro. Wow, it is monster. And they have much faster charging on the OnePlus 9. It's like twice as fast again. But this warp charge on a OnePlus 7 is monster, boy. It charges so fast, I think it gives you like half of 50% or something in 30 minutes is what they advertise. Or it may be even more than that. Now, like I said, I think they can go from 0 to 130 minutes, so it's even like significantly faster. But that's on the OnePlus 9. But even on the OnePlus 7 Pro version, the warp charge on the OnePlus phones is really fast. You know, so yeah, so combined, man, what was really the deal breaker for me on the Pixel 4a was terrible battery life, and then on top of that, terribly slow charging, because it didn't have any fast charging type of thing, or not enough. You know, I'm sure it has some sort of fast charging, but it's charged very slow. So that's just a deadly combination. I just couldn't stomach it, and I had to get rid of it. And go back to my OnePlus 7 Pro. Can you imagine deciding to switch phones and then not carrying it out because you're just so disappointed in the new one? Yeah, so that's my story with the Pixel 4a and about how much beastly these OnePlus, you know, like I said, best way to put it is it's a Samsung. Just by another name. You know, these suckers are battleships, and they'll blow the doors off something like a Pixel 4a. Now, if you want a small phone, okay, Pixel 4a is going to be nice, you know. But to me, I'm kind of ambivalent. I do want a smaller phone, but I don't want one as small as the Pixel 4a. I want an S21 size. See, that's what I wish OnePlus would do. I had another video talking about how OnePlus is screwing up nowadays. You know, they offer great value. Like, this phone is fantastic value. This is the equivalent of this is 1 gen old, right? So this is like a Samsung S20 for $415. You're not going to find a Samsung S20 for $415. It's going to be $600-700 everywhere. You know, $800. You know, you're not getting any kind of deals like these on Samsungs. So yeah, this is pretty much the best value in smartphones, and none of the in the United States, which is where most of us live. So yeah, I do wish that OnePlus would come out with a 6.2-inch phone, because I feel like this one's a little too big. It's almost the same size as my OnePlus 7 Pro, but which I'm trying to switch to something a little smaller. But yeah, so I just wanted to make this kind of heads up. If you're looking for a battleship of a phone and you're not trading in a Samsung on another Samsung at their website, this is the way to go, man. This is only $50 more than pretending it's $399. Which, like I said, it was $399 at the OnePlus website. I think it's just sold out right this second. But it's usually, or very often, let's say, it's $399 at the OnePlus website. If for $50 more than the Pixel 4a, it blows the 4a. It blows the doors off the 4a. It blows the doors off it. It's you know, size is kind of a preference. So you could kind of, but the speed of it, the probably everything but the camera is just like. And you'll have to take other people's words for it, because I don't even care about the camera. All smartphone pictures kind of look the same to me. You know, it's just in another class. The charging is so much faster. The display is so much brighter. You know, the power is going to be like way better. On the OnePlus 8, battery life's going to be way better. Charging speed, when you run out of that battery, is going to be way. You know, it's a battleship of a phone. Like I said, it's a Samsung, just cheaper. Trust me. You know, this is an S20, and if you saw an S20 on Amazon for $415, you'd probably snatch it up. Or an S20 FE is another one. Well, that's what this is. Just nobody talks about it. So, anyways, just thought I'd make a little video about that. I'll go ahead and end this at about the 24-minute mark.